Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, everybody. Here we are, live.
Hello.
No, we're not live. That was last night. Recorded with me and Aubrey.
Hello.
Hello. Happy afternoon. What day? Tuesday afternoon today, right?
Tuesday, yes.
Yeah.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco. I like it.
Saying anything, but saying something.
I'm just dropping a hint.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, Aubrey?
Today we are talking about the ends don't always justify the means. Don't always.
Not always.
Yeah. Not always.
So, yeah.
So what the heck does that even mean, Glenn?
Well, I think it's kind of a, in our society, we're very conditioned to make excuses for our behavior and rationalize it. And I mean, we've kind of had to, honestly. I mean, over the years, the way society's run, I mean, it's, we always believed that we had to take abuse to get anywhere, because of the hierarchy of the social system, but we're breaking out of that now. So it's, I've talked before about it being a employer market, and now it's turning into an employee market. Like, this is all part of the shift. And it's, plus the martyr mentality is just seriously hurting people, because we have all these people with wonderful, big, loving hearts that don't know how to set boundaries and care for themselves. So they just give, become doormats for other people, suffer, struggle, and people aren't able to do that like they used to. It's getting more and more intense. So the self-care is getting more important, and self-abuse, there's less tolerance for self-abuse. We can't beat the living crap out of ourselves for decades and just chalk it up to, well, this is what being a mom looks like, or this is what being a dad looks like, or, life's tough. Like, those mentalities aren't working anymore,
Yeah.
because we're creating a new paradigm based in love. So part of that, that's why this mentality, I think, seeps into a lot of different areas, so it's about really looking at this and going, getting conscious about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if we're being honest with ourselves, authentic and truthful with ourselves as we make these decisions.
So the topic today is the ends don't always justify the means. So can you elaborate a little bit on the typical phrase, the ends justify the means, and what that means, so we can compare the two?
Yeah, I think it's, the ends justify the means. It's where we can do whatever we have to do to, if our intention is good. I think this is part of the meaning that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So this is, and I mean, sometimes it's easier to see it with larger, more extreme examples in the macrocosm, and then bring it back into our individual lives and see where we're doing it. Because if it's running rampant in society, then it's in our lives too, because society is just made up of us. So, so on a grand scale, I think that this is a lot of politics. I mean, I don't, I know that I don't like politicians, quite honestly. I just don't. I don't like what they stand for. I don't like what they do. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of things about them. but I don't believe that they're bad people. I don't think we have bad people. Now, are there some politicians that are just out for themselves and trying to screw everybody? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think that that's the norm. Honestly, I think that most politicians actually think that they're doing good for humanity, which is ridiculous. They're not. But this is how they sleep at night. They because they believe the end justifies the means. So I believe that a lot of the politicians, the way it's gotten so out of whack is that they tell themselves, and they believe as a group, if you would take politicians as a group and try to understand what's going on in their heads, I think that they believe that, like, you can't make positive change unless you have the power to do so. So, which justifies them doing whatever it takes to get power.
Right.
So then they're like, oh, okay, so I have to make a deal, I have to make a deal with a pharmaceutical company, or I have to make a deal over here to get this done. Well, yeah, okay, well, I'll sacrifice this to get that done. And so they're constantly making deals, or they're lying about somebody they're running against, or just slandering them or something. Why? Well, because I have to get into office. I have to get into office. Yeah, but you're lying, and you're character assassinating, and you're gossiping, and your soul is rotting from what you're doing. It's like, yeah, but I'm just doing, that's not important. I'm just doing that because that's what it takes for me to get into power. When I get into power, then I'll make positive changes for the people that I care about. So that's that ends just, the ends justifying the means. I have to do whatever it takes to get into power. And then once I'm there, then I'll do wonderful things for everybody. But then when they get there, they find out that they owe everybody and their brother for getting them there. And then they have to, and then people hold them accountable. They're like, dude,
right,
you said I was going to get 13 contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Work them over, or else our emails are going public. What? And this is how the game is played. So it's like, so I think that that's a good example of in the macrocosm. And then in the microcosm, we do the same thing. We sacrifice. A lot of people are still under because let's be realistic. Money is important to everyone in our everyday lives. I mean, we all need it. Like we need money it's our form of exchange right now. So everybody needs money. That's just a fact of life, the way society is set up right now. So people will rationalize why they have to do things to keep their job or to stay in their job. And that's one of the lines that's getting thinner and thinner now, because we're shifting to an employee market instead of an employer market. So it's becoming what the power is shifting. So now all of a sudden it's like, if somebody starts treating you like crap at a lot of jobs, and people haven't fully absorbed this, the ones that have, it's great, man. Like all the people who understand this in the past year, most people I know that have understood this, that were at jobs that they don't like, are no longer at those jobs, and they're making substantially more money in a better work environment. The people who actually have slowed down to say, is this true? I don't know. I'm going to go on some job freaking website, or I'm going to contact a headhunter and explore my options. That's all they do. They just explore options. And then all of a sudden they're like, within a few months, most of them are at other jobs making more money in a better work atmosphere. It's because it's literally changing. It's just the general public hasn't seen this yet. So, but it's going to get more and more. So what's happening is our rationalization is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Maybe 100 years ago, you had to do what, especially like in the Depression. Like, I think that had a huge effect on possibly the globe, but definitely the United States, because that was like my grandparents. It's not that far removed, you know? So it's like, so the way my grandparents lived and believed affected their children, which is my parents, and the way they thought, which affected me the way that I thought, because they were still alive. I'm talking, you know, so to not finish your meal was, you know, a cardinal sin when I was a child.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, why?
I remember it well.
Yeah, because they came out of the depression, right? And they're just like, I mean, they're so scared and so locked into a lack mentality that it was like, So back then, you know, you needed a job, and it was backed by 100,000 years of hierarchy structure anyway, right? So so we're just finally breaking out of that. So it's a new mentality to sit there and have your boss say, hey, I need you to work overtime, and just look at him and go, let me get back to you on that. Like this is a whole new way of doing things. So it's taking a little time for us to get there, but this is what we need to start doing, because, you know, to kind of give the overview of how I'm seeing the job stuff. I'm a realist. I'm a spiritual realist. I'm not asking you to run around quitting your job just because you don't like the way your boss talks to you. You know, I mean, some stuff you have to suck it up, and some stuff you have to set boundaries, and, you know, there's all kinds of tools that you can implement to live your life more harmoniously, even where you are. But we have to stop rationalizing and going, oh, it's because, you know, I have to pay my bills. I can't just tell my boss no. Yeah, you can. That doesn't hold water anymore. You can set boundaries. It's not mandatory for you to be mentally and emotionally abused at your job anymore. It's just not. There's too many opportunities out there. There's too many other jobs. There's you know, most people have cars now. You don't have to work 5 minutes from your house. Like, you can actually commute somewhere for 30 minutes to make a better paycheck with a better atmosphere. You can set boundaries, and there are HR departments where you can be like, hey, listen, no. I'm being abused here. This isn't okay. You know, so, but we have to be realistic about it. If everything isn't hunky-dory at your job, doesn't mean you can tell people to go screw, because they're not being nice. Like, you can set boundaries. So sometimes it's appropriate to say, I don't really like this aspect of my job. Maybe it's not technically in my job description or something, but whatever. For the most part, my job's cool. It pays my bills. It feeds my family. You know, I'm not the boss. I don't make the rules. Whatever. I'll suck it up and I'll do a little something that I don't really feel like doing, because the bigger picture is more important. Me feeding my family, stuff like that. It's more important than this little thing. So that's fine, but we can't use that same mentality to rationalize not being ourselves, being inauthentic, sitting there, you know, allowing ourselves to be abused, changing our character, lying, cheating, stealing at our jobs, and then say, well, it's not up to me, man. Like, my boss said I had to do it, so I had to do it. No, like, when it starts crossing your moral lines, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. We're not in that society anymore. You know, and this is where we're going more and more and more and more. We're just at the beginning of it now. And I think it's huge. It's everywhere. It's awesome. Yeah. I love seeing it, but I'm also looking for it. So just in the next 5 years, this is going to be like off the charts, man. People are going to be doing this left and right. And I think it's going to shake the job market up pretty good. There's just too many options. It's too easy to start your own business and work online and all kinds. There's just way too many options now. Yeah.
So do you see society as a whole right now, you know, coming out of that? Because what you described, like, you know, what we talked about with the ends justifying the means, like I feel like I see that everywhere. and it seems to me like anytime someone compromises their character once, it kind of becomes like desensitized in a way, or they build a tolerance to it, and it's just, then when you get presented with it again, you just fall easily into the compromising your character again and again. And so there's really just like, what boundary? I don't even remember having a boundary.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to do it. When I was getting sober, it's about conscious living. When I was getting sober, like really putting, like really deciding, okay, I'm going to really give this a shot. Like, I think I lasted like 60 or 90 days or something. And I went out and I drank. And then I lasted like 30 or 60 days. And I went out and I drank again. And I pumped the brakes and I went, wait a minute, what's happening? Yeah. And I stepped back and I was like, okay, well, as soon as I gave myself permission to drink the first time, now it's on the table. Now there's an easy out right there that I can say, I can really struggle and, and really take the hard road here, or I can take my out.
Yeah.
And it was just easier to take the out. So, so I sat down and I was like, okay, what does this look like if I continue taking the easy out? And it's like, well, it's going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years of me bouncing in and out of AA, trying to get sober a bunch of times, feeling like crap, going in and getting my 24-hour sobriety chip and then coming back out and then starting over again. I was like, that is not the life I'm going to live. It's just, no, I'm either going to get sober or die. Those are the only two options. So then I doubled down and I didn't allow myself to have that out anymore. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to just we can't believe our own BS.
Yeah.
You can't rationalize stuff away. Because you don't believe your own BS anyway. Like, you can't lie to yourself. Your self-esteem and your self-love knows the truth. So you can pretend you're lying to yourself. You can pretend you're rationalizing to yourself. You can pretend all day and say, well, no, you don't understand. I have to. Even if people that say that to me, oh, you don't understand. I have to do this. I'm like, I don't believe it for a second. And like, the sad part is, and which is no big deal, I live my own life. So for me not to believe what you're saying, who cares? We're different people. I don't have to suffer from your choices. So whatever, you can do whatever you want. But the thing that makes me feel bad is that they think that they believe their rationalizations. That's when people are really stuck. When you think you believe your own rationalizations, you're stuck. And that's what we have to stop doing, because you don't believe your own rationalizations. Inside of yourself, you know the truth. You know that you're rationalizing. You know you're lying to yourself. You know there's another way. So this is why people living like that, life gets worse and worse and worse for them, because their internal struggle gets more and more, because they're veering further and further from their authentic selves.
Okay. So do you think, what's the consequence that eventually happens, because the thing is, when people are stuck in this type of, it's almost like tunnel vision, and you get stuck in this loop and you're desensitized and you're lying to yourself, even though you can't lie to yourself, and you feel the physical effect of that on a long term. What is enough for someone to break out of that tunnel vision routine of that?
You never know. This is like, a lot of people understand the concept of hitting bottom for an alcoholic. It's the same thing with non-alcoholics. It's the same thing with this. It's just hitting bottom, and that bottom is different for everybody. So, I mean, quite honestly, we're so on, like, one of the biggest problems with us coming to inner realizations about this type of thing, as well as other dysfunctions, is the distraction that we use. Distraction is the biggest problem, I think, in society right now. It's where all the addictions come from, social media and telephones and television and shopping and sex and relationships and busyness. Busyness is probably worse than all of them, because it's just, we don't slow down enough to feel the uncomfortability.
Yeah. And we brag about the busyness.
Yeah. We go, oh, very busy.
Badge of honor.
Yeah. Badge of honor. Oh, I'm very, very busy. Yeah. Oh, have you sat down to think about your life lately? Oh, don't even have time for that stuff. Like, okay, well, like, if you think you're not going to suffer, because, our body is a feedback mechanism. It's, so it doesn't speak to us in language. It speaks to us in physical actions. So when we are being inauthentic with ourselves, if we are living in a way that is damaging our soul, if we are living in a way that's out of alignment with who we are, what happens is that there's energy blockages that occur inside the body because of that. It interrupts the flow of life force energy. So, and where does it do that? Wherever is associated with that type of thing. So like the liver is known for being for anger. So if you're very angry, I mean, look, like I am the poster child for freaking angry alcoholic. Because alcoholism and anger often go hand in hand. What does alcoholism affect? It affects the liver. The liver is connected with anger.
Wow.
Right.
I didn't know that.
This is where those blockages, the energetic block happens in the corresponding organ or space that is of whatever energy is in alignment with whatever energy you're struggling with. So then all of a sudden it manifests disease, in our bodies. If you have a blockage of energy, so the energy is not able to pass through freely in a particular organ because there's a blockage, then it's depleting, and then it doesn't get what it needs. Disease can form, and so this is, I mean, look at the rise of diseases going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet we're more technologically advanced. So we're supposed to be getting less disease, and we're getting more. I think maybe we're going about it the wrong way.
Right. And by blockage, just to be clear, you mean, energetically. So can you elaborate on that, just so it's like a little more tangible? Because when I think of blockage, I think of like a vein being blocked, like, something like that. So what does that look like energetically, and how can someone determine if they have a blockage in a particular organ or area?
Well, I mean, it's, this is theory. Like, some people can actually see blockages. I can't. So like a lot of people that I know that do Reiki, I do Reiki, but I don't see blockages. I just feel in my body an area to go to on their body. So,
right.
So I don't see it. So I can't describe what it is, but I can say that in theory, it's very similar to a vein with a blockage of blood flow. There's a flow and it's not flowing as it should. So therefore, your energy is flowing through your body. And when it gets to this place, maybe only a little energy can squeak through because there's a blockage there. So it's just not getting a natural flow.
Yeah. It's like a clogged artery.
Yeah. And maybe it even affects the blood flow in that area. I would, venture to say it very well could,
Yeah, it does. I do see a lot of emotional and energetic issues. They do manifest physically. Stress is very tough on the body physically. And I don't think many people really, realize that. And
I know. I talk about that all the time. Yeah. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Vitamins. Yeah. People are like, oh, I'm really stressed out. And they live stressed out. They're like, oh, I'm stressed out all the time. Stressed out all the time. very
It's their
busy, very stressed
existence.
out. And they say it like there's no consequence. It's like, let's just time out for a second. Like, have you looked into the science of stress at all? I mean, like, all this stuff is proven scientifically at this point. This isn't like theory,
Yeah.
So they literally inject. This is what really blew my mind. I think it's the best example, so I use it all the time. They literally inject people with stress hormones when they're going to transplant an organ into them. Why do they do that? It's because it lowers their immune system so much that their immune system doesn't attack the foreign organ.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they literally inject stress hormones into somebody before an organ transplant. And that is why, to lower their immune system, because stress hormones lower the immune system so much that they can take somebody else's kidney, put it inside of you, and the immune system is like, I'm too weak to do anything about this.
Wow.
And people are literally walking around through their lives for 30 years with their immune system so compromised. And then we wonder why there's an increase in disease. Our body can't fight off anything. It's in a constant state of being lowered by stress. 24/7. We almost have no
crazy.
Left.
That's crazy. It's so wild that, where we're at in society, there's just so many people still that don't think that the mental and emotional and spiritual are connected to the physical. Like, they're two completely separate entities, but it all ties together with, alignment, right?
Yeah. So, like, to answer your question, there's like two ways to kind of find blockages, and it's whatever. Some people might use one way more than another. It might have to do with your consciousness level, and whatever. There's multiple ways to come at it. One is if you have a physical issue, like, it can be anything. I do this all the time. Like, if I get, not all the time, I just got stung by a bee a few days ago, and I didn't do this, but for an example, what I normally do is I'll be like, okay, I got stung on my left ankle or heel. Spiritual meaning of ankle, spiritual meaning of left ankle, and I'll just search it. Louise Hay wrote a great book that has all this stuff. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, I just Google it and I'll read a few things that come up and see which one resonates with me. I do that all the time with family members, anything. Even like sometimes if I bang my elbow and it's just really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, I shouldn't have banged. I just get this feeling like I shouldn't have banged my elbow, and I banged it really good, and it's just really weird. If it feels weird, I'll be like, spiritual meaning of elbow. Spiritual meaning of right elbow injury.
I love this.
Spiritual meaning of anything. And what it does is, like I said, there's tons of research that have aligned. Like, all this stuff this is nothing new. Like, this is the basis for acupuncture. This is the basis for chiropractic work, all this stuff. This pressure points, like, all this stuff has been studied for thousands of years. They have all things drawn. Our body is connected to our emotional body. We're all one unit. So, like, they've reflexology, cranial therapy, all this stuff, it's all mapped out. They've mapped it out. They're like, I can just touch this, and like acupuncture. When I had a jaw issue, he's putting in needles in my foot. And I'm like, what's up with that? And he goes, well, he's like, if you want to flip a light on, you don't go to a light bulb, you go to a switch.
Wow.
And I was like,
wow. And you're like, aha.
I get that. So there's a pressure point that's a switch in my foot that goes to that spot in my jaw. So he puts the needle there.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
all
cool.
this stuff, like I said, all this stuff is mapped out. So like if you have a physical, if your body is trying to tell you something by some level of discomfort, injury, disease, anything, then you can search spiritual meaning of. Or if you're having difficulty, like, if you're stressed out at work, then spiritual consequences of stress or something. So you can do it backwards. You can come at it either way.
Right.
If you're like feeling like, let's say you're fearful of money all the time, you search spiritual meaning of lack, or spiritual meaning of money issues, or physical manifestations of money issues. And a lot of times they'll tell you, like, I believe low back pain is associated with finances.
That's crazy. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I know nothing about that.
And I mean, I was broke most of my life when I was younger, and I broke my low back.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
What are the odds? It's like probably coincidence, right?
Yeah, probably has
probably
nothing to do with it. Yeah.
So, okay. So back to, the ends don't always justify the means. So if you're presented a situation that compromises, your character, your integrity, like at a job, and, you're told to do something with the promise of, what you're going to get out of it, is it safe to say that whatever that is, like, there's always going to be another option where you don't have to compromise your character, compromise your boundaries?
Yeah.
When people feel that they don't have a way out, like, it's when you get that tunnel vision, it sometimes really feels like this is the only way.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're trying to break out of, because that's a shift of perspective. That's what really keeps people stuck, is they just go, oh, well, there's just no other way. It's just like, there's always another way. There's always. And like, we weren't built to sacrifice who we are to benefit, to reach higher levels of success, to become more fulfilled and have better lives. That's not the system. The system is not, you have to be less than yourself to gain more. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
it doesn't when you put it like that.
So I'm going to sacrifice who I am, what I believe is right, and what makes me feel better, because those things aren't just external, they're internal. So it's like everything that makes me feel good as a human being, I have to sacrifice that to achieve what I deserve in the peace, love, happiness, and finance area. No, actually, it's the opposite. It actually makes more sense than that. You're supposed to become more of yourself to achieve more things. So the more you lean into your authenticity, the more you achieve. The clearer version of yourself that you are, the higher you go, the more happiness you experience, the more success financially, even. There's not like one set of universal laws for everything and then another one for money. That's exactly the opposite. It's like, no, it's just energy. Money is energy too. Everything is energy. So whatever laws work in every other area, that same law works with money. So you don't have to sacrifice. Now, I mean, people have sold their soul to the devil, for lack of a better term, to make money, but they didn't have to. That's not why they made money. They thought they needed to do that. And just the belief that they needed to do that actually probably brought them closer to making money. See, we think our actions, like these, especially the negative actions, we think the negative actions, like in the past, we look at somebody, right? And we go, okay, well, they crapped on everybody. They stepped on them on their way up the ladder. They treated everybody like crap. They lied, they stole, they cheated, and they made $1 billion. So that must be how you make $1 billion, because they did it and they made $1 billion. Like,
right.
No.
But you're not seeing, we're not seeing the other side. You're just looking at what it looks like on paper, not what they're feeling or going through internally.
Right. So
the cost of those things.
Right. Not only is there a cost because that person doesn't like themselves, because it's literally impossible to like yourself if you're an asshole.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's
it
nowhere
just,
to hide.
It just feeds, you feel terrible. You treat people terrible. You feel terrible. You treat people terrible.
You rationalize that you needed to be able to make the money, and you lie to yourself, and then that lie, and look, and then it manifests as disease, and you freaking die. So like, but that it's not all the old belief systems that we have to let go of. We have to understand that the reason that they seemingly worked was because people believed in them. It wasn't because they actually worked. It was because it fed their belief system. So like, you can't be what you can't imagine yourself to be, because you won't vibrate at that rate. So if you truly believe you have to be a jerk to make money, and then you start acting like a jerk, you'll probably make money. Why? Because you truly believe that jerks make money and you are a jerk. So therefore you'll have money. You believe in that belief system. If you truly believe in that, then it will work.
Yeah.
This is how I saw, like, when I was younger and dysfunctional, I got away with all kinds of amazing stuff. I used to manifest stuff left and right, but it was all egoic manifesting. But I truly believed it. Like at one point I didn't think I could die. So I would like run out into traffic and do stupid stuff and just to prove that I couldn't die, and I wouldn't. But I truly believed it. I know it's warped, but there was a period in time that I actually believed that and proved it multiple times.
Wow.
And then but I also did the same thing with scratch tickets. I felt that I was lucky. When I was a kid, I used to find money. So I was like, I'm pretty lucky. I could probably just go buy one scratch ticket and win. So I'd go over, I'd scratch, I hit $60. And back then that was a fortune. So I was like, sweet, bought some beer, had a great day. And then I was like, I can't abuse this. I can't abuse this. And then a month later, I'd be like, Glenn's lucky, needs $60. I'd go back, get one scratch ticket, hit $60 again. I did that like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Wow.
But I actually believed my own BS back then. It was all egoic based, but I believed it. So what we believe in creates our reality.
Right.
So it's right. It's not the actual thing, because people go, oh, you have to work hard to be successful. No, you don't.
Yeah.
But if you truly believe that, so you look, they go, okay, why do people believe that's true? Well, because there's multiple examples of people doing it. That's why they believe it to be true. There's multiple examples of people working really hard and becoming highly successful. Now, does that mean you have to work really hard to be successful? No, that just means that those people believed in that belief system. So every time they worked hard, they went, I'm more successful. I'm working harder. I'm more successful. So it reinforced the belief in them that they were more successful. That's why they became successful, not because they worked hard.
Wow.
Right. So this is what we have to start letting go of. So we have to start understanding that we are creating our own reality, and that it's not based on these external actions. It's just based on what we believe. If we believe the external actions will work for us, they will.
Right.
But they're not necessary.
Right. So is it safe to say that, what's not aligned with you it doesn't feel good, right? That's a good way of knowing that firsthand. It's like just very simple. You get that like hesitation or there's something that goes off that just doesn't feel right. Like you want to lean into it, but people force themselves to go that route anyway because they feel it's what they need to do. When it comes to alignment, is it safe to say that what's aligned with you won't cause you to compromise your character in doing what you need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about becoming more of ourselves. So we don't, so you don't have to, like if, like let's say we'll take the working hard. Like if somebody says, well, I have to never see my family because I want us to have a nice house. Well, that's, don't get me wrong. Some people like to work a lot and they're actually kind of made to work a lot and they're not so much like family oriented people. I mean, we have to keep that in mind. There are different people, there's no judgment here. If you're the type of person that it feeds your soul to dive into your work and you're just not the type that enjoys tons of family time, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, there's not one way for everyone. I was very family oriented first. It was me and my son, period. And there was no job that was going to get in the way of me spending time with my son. It just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't that, but that's just who I was. Everybody doesn't need to be like that. So, keep that in mind. But yeah, you can, there's lots of people that have, my father's an example. My father made good money his whole life. And somehow he found a way to coach my little league team.
Yeah.
How? Honestly, I don't even quite know how he did it because there was times when he had like an hour and a half one-way commute to work. But he figured it out and somehow he was able to do it. Why? Because it was important to him. So he didn't have to sacrifice making money for having family time. It's not either or. So if something's out of alignment with you, yeah, you can feel it. And then the best way for this work and any other work is look into it. Like, if it doesn't take a freaking genius or an insightful, enlightened creature to find out that I'm not happy with my life. Most completely unconscious people can figure that out, whether they're happy with their life or not. So if you're not happy with your life, it's time to start looking at it and going, okay, what am I doing that's out of alignment with who I am?
Yeah.
That's why you don't like your life. Everything is alignment. When you're in alignment with who you are and you're living authentically with integrity, you like your life. When you're not, it's a natural consequence of being out of alignment. It's not punishment. It's not a test by God. It's just you're out of alignment. So there's natural law that you can't feel good when you're out of alignment with yourself. You're going to know
something's wrong.
Yeah, you're going to be suffering or struggling or unhappy, or there's some sort of negative experience or feeling that is going to be recurring in your life as you're out of alignment. That will stop occurring when you become in alignment.
Yeah. So it's all about just minimizing the distractions to get present in order to kind of get to the bottom. Like, because if it's like, okay, like I'm unhappy, I don't know why, because of all these distractions. That's how a lot of people operate. I've been there. I get that. So it's really just dialing down the distractions, getting present with where you're at, and rerouting into what aligns with you versus what doesn't. Because if you have to compromise your boundaries or your character to get to the end, it's safe to say it's just not in alignment with you. If there's resistance.
No, and you're going to be miserable when you get there. Like, even if you succeed, there's no happy destination at the end of an unhappy road.
Right. All the money Yeah, it's not going to
Yeah,
buy
so
you the peace of mind when you've compromised all of your character and your belief system.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm completely out of alignment with who I am. I don't like who I am. I don't like what I've done. I don't like the way I've treated people. I don't like the way I live my life, but I'm wicked happy because I have $1 million. Nope. No, you're not.
No.
You're miserable. And what you'll probably do is you'll either wake up and go, okay, the $1 million wasn't worth it, or you'll rationalize more and double down and go, well, I must need 2 million. I must need 10 million because I'm not feeling the way I thought I would feel. So I must need more of what I have.
Wow.
You know, those are the only two options. This is why, like, I think it was Jim Carrey said, like, I wish everybody could become rich so they'd find out that that's not it.
I know that quote. He's great.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, it's just a doorway like everything else. You know, people who make tons of money and then are unhappy, they go, oh my God, it must not be in the money. So then that's a doorway into spirituality, into finding their authentic self. And then people who are struggling, you know, that are broke all the time, that's a doorway into finding your authenticity. So if you're broke all the time and then you go, oh, I'm broke all the time, I'm miserable. Well, okay, well, you're out of alignment with self. That's why you're unhappy. And when you start to align with yourself, all of a sudden you're going to start to be happier. And as you start to become happier, then all of a sudden you start getting more hopeful and you start understanding that you're in control of your own reality. You're like, oh my God, I was broke and miserable. Now I'm broke, but I'm fine. I'm peaceful. I'm happy. I'm content. Everything's okay. All right, sweet. And people think that like that's some nightmare. They're like, oh no, I need the money first. How am I going to be happy without the money? Just don't worry about it. Just become happy. And then like some people are going to be happy broke. They're going to be like, once they're happy, they're going to be like, I don't need money. I don't care. I don't care if I have a lot of money. I'm good where I am. And then other people are going to be like, no, you know what? Now that I understand that I'm in control of my own reality and I understand my authentic self, I want to express that by making more money.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then you do it in the right energy as an expression of who you are, not as some illusion of happiness that's never going to live up to what you think it is. Yeah. So there's no, you can't be inauthentic and happy. I don't give a crap what you achieve. You can achieve all the, you know, I mean, the stories are endless. I mean, how many people have become rich and famous and killed themselves?
Endless.
You know, I mean,
we
can go down the list.
Typical,
you know?
Yeah.
You know? And everybody goes, oh my God, how could they do that? They had everything to live for. No, they didn't have anything to live for because they were completely out of alignment with their authentic selves. They had no idea who they were.
Wow.
But they achieved millions of dollars and tons of fame, and it's all external. If that external stuff made people happy, I think we'd know by now. There's plenty of people that have achieved it.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I don't think money has to do with happiness at all. Basically, but like, if anything, I would say that people with money are usually less happy than people without, as a general rule.
Yeah.
You know, because they think it's because that's the whole reason why they got it, is because they thought it was going to make them happy, and then they found out that it didn't. It comes with all kinds of problems if you acquire it that way.
Yeah, it's different. It's the ends do not always justify the means.
No, they never do. They never do, because it's your because the end is just a culmination of the means. That's where you end up. So like the means is like, okay, I was a jerk. I was an asshole. I crapped on people. At the end of that road, what you get is low self-esteem, low self-love, and a feeling of inadequacy. That's where you arrive to on that road.
Yeah.
Why? Because you did things to create that. But if you live in authenticity, self-respect, self-love, self-esteem, healthy boundaries, now all of a sudden you become somebody with integrity who loves themselves. And that's the journey. Money and external things can be part of that, or sometimes it's not part of that. It doesn't really matter. That's the journey you're on. It's how you behave. You can't behave in a negative way and expect to feel good about yourself.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's just
all very simple.
Externally, people just, act like that sometimes. It's, it's like, you like sometimes you'll have the reason people think that it's different is because you have rich people that crap on people and they stand up there. They go, no, I'm happy. You kidding me? I can do whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want. I'm happy, man. Anybody says I'm not happy, they're full of crap. They don't understand. They don't know me. That's all egoic. It's not true happiness. They're lying to themselves. They bought into their own BS. I did the same thing when I was younger. Like I had no fear of consequences from 7th grade on. So I literally did whatever I wanted, however I wanted, whenever I wanted. And if anybody questioned me on it, I was like, look at me. I have more fun than anybody I know. I can do whatever the hell I want. And people like, yeah, but Glenn, you're really not living a good life. And it's, there's, oh, geez, maybe you should think about maybe making some better decisions and I'm like, you're out of your mind, man. I figured I figured out life. Yeah. Like I figured out life. I got this all figured out, man. I'm good, and I didn't understand what they were saying because I was so lost in my own head. But then when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I was so delusional. I actually believed my own BS that, oh no, I was struck, and then as soon as I fell off that thing, I was battling depression, alcoholism. Oh yeah, you're like golden, Glenn. You have to anesthetize yourself every waking hour because you can't stand who you are, but you're good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You're doing great.
Yeah. Nicely done, Glenn. Yeah. You obviously, this lifestyle isn't affecting you negatively at all.
Oh, well, so in conclusion, is there any piece of advice or any direction you can offer people with that, tunnel vision and in that endless loop where they admit to no one but themselves that they're in this space?
Yeah, it's just, you just got to be honest with yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, just slow down and be honest with yourself. Don't believe the quick thoughts. The quicker your thought comes, the more BS it is. Yeah. Oh, can I actually change the way I am? No, of course you can't. That's a lie. Because it came in quick. That's egoic. Slow down and just, does it affect me when my boss tells me I have to lie? Nah, it's not a big deal. I can just lie. Yeah, it does affect you. Slow down. How do I feel when I lie? Put your attention on your body. Ooh. Yeah, that's probably not good. I didn't like the feeling I just got when I slowed down and felt into that. This is what it is. When you learn to pay attention to this stuff, it's not that difficult. It's about slowing down and asking yourself the honest questions and feeling and asking over and over and just slow down, and then slow down after that. And then ask yourself the question a few times and wait. And if the answer comes up quick, then your unconsciousness is just trying to push it aside. No, we're fine. It's a little boy whistling in the dark. No, I'm not scared.
It's a great example. It's a great example.
Yeah. So it's,
Love
you know,
it.
as you walk your authentic path, it's just automatic that your self-esteem rises, your self-love rises, your happiness rises. It's just you become a better version of yourself that's more capable of achieving whatever you want. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no shortcut.
There's no cheat sheet. Are you
Oh,
sure?
there's cheat sheets. Yeah, I get the cheat sheets. I'll help you with those. But there's no shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
No.
All right.
So, well, yeah, I guess that'll do it. Just under an hour.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Thank
Perfect.
you, Aubrey.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We will, where's my ending? There it is. All right. We'll talk with you guys later. Peace.
Peace out.
Looking for more? Check out over 200 episodes of Life Lessons in Laughter, or click the link in the description of this episode to connect with Glenn directly.